Hello, powerful people. We are getting into our next Businestry lesson. Absolutely. One of my favorite things to talk about. That's why I'm the one that always tackles this. Hello. So I'm going to keep hammering home the idea of Businestry. It is not simply ministry where you charge a fee or make money. That's the world's model. We all probably know, whether you're aware of them or not, ministers that stayed in ministry because of financial gain, the paycheck, etc. That's precisely what my desire is to dismantle. So if you want to be in ministry, as in one of the 2% of people that are called to lead within the four walls of the organized church structure, then by all means do that. Absolutely. I'm not trying to say there's something wrong with that, but do it because it's a call and your design, not because you're trying to get financial ends to meet. That's a bad plan. But for the 98% of you that are called to be in the world, just not of it, this training is for you, especially those of you with a more entrepreneurial bent. Entrepreneurs and professionals are my specialties because it is who I am and where I have been, where I've seen the most amount of success. So it's just something I'm passionate about and I love to share. Businestries is where your passions and divine purpose intersect with the promise of creating abundance and prosperity for those that follow after us. It's about building legacy. That is what I really want you to grab a hold of when we are talking about building a Businestry. So, some of you may already have a business or profession, but oftentimes I've had to come into those spaces and help tweak them a little bit in order for the person to really flourish in the space that they have already created. So don't worry if after today's teaching you have this like, oh crap moment, and realize that your business or profession isn't really matching your passion or purpose. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. That's not what we're doing here. It is simply time to tweak the what and how you are doing. Again, one of my specialties. Love it. So after today, you may actually find some things out about yourself or your spouse. It's going to be like a gold mine discovery for your Businestry. I love this part. We will talk about discovering what you are best at, like what nobody around you does better or easier than you do. Talk about what you love to do. So maybe someone around you is better than you at it, but you could do it all day, every day, never get tired of it, not even be paid for it, and still feel super fulfilled. Then we're going to assess what the people around you want or need. And finally, some ideas around how to begin monetizing these things and creating some income streams, tapping into the abundance promise that is over your life, or how we may tweak some things to really open up the floodgates in that area. So, I want you to start with a blank sheet of paper on this teaching in the first, and make 3 columns, so 2 lines down it. In the first column, I want you to write keywords around what you are best at. And you guys, this is no time to be shy. And please do not confuse not wanting to state your strengths with being humble. That will be another lesson for another day. Needless to say, I don't have a ton of grace for false humility, not when you are called to be a power couple. So let's move on from that. Let's figure out what you are best at. I will tell you there are clues all around you that most of us often overlook because we don't intentionally look for them. So the first thing is you can reflect back on past accomplishments or positive feedback you have been given from others, especially leaders. Those are going to be one way to figure out what you're best at. Think about the moments that stick out in your memory, like influential conversations, people who praised your character, your skill set, all that feedback that leaders and other people that you respect and honor have given you. History mapping tool, as a caveat, in the journey mapping course is also a great place for this. You might want to jump over there and take a look at that. That is module 1. To help you get started, take some time and reflect on these questions. What skills have helped you thrive? What makes you feel strong? What made you stand out as a child? What compliments do you tend to ignore? Like, anybody can do that type thing. What is your natural reaction when you're met with an obstacle? Also, if you showed promise at something earlier in life, those skills likely haven't gone away. So you might want to test them out, try them out again, and see if they feel more familiar than you actually might have anticipated since you haven't done them in a really long time. Sometimes those are going to be clues as to things that you are called to be best at. So now, spouses, both of you create a separate list. Later on, we can talk about the crossover and how they operate together, but I want you guys to be doing this individually. So in the second column, write keywords around the things you love to do. People tend to be good at what they love, but it's not always the best, right? You might not be the best, but you're probably good at the things that you love. This is also how we begin to develop passion, another often misunderstood topic. Don't confuse passion with something you excel at. So many people believe they're not very passionate, but they simply have not understood how to develop a passion. That's another teaching that's in journey mapping, the passion process. So if you're one of those people, definitely jump into that. Now, I don't want you to be thinking about skill level in this section. Think more in line with something that you do easily, again, could do all day, even if you weren't paid, and that you would feel good about, right, at the end of the day. Later on, we'll talk about developing the skills around the things that you love and how that will actually develop passion. But for now, let's just keep it really simple. Then you've got these 2 columns. Then what I want you to do is see if they connect. See if they lead you to the tangible skills that are in the first column. Circle and draw a line between the 2 of them, right? So in the first column, the things that you are best at, so high skills. Second column, things that you love. Now see if there's any connection or crossover between the 2 of those. Now in the third column, I want you to think about what people regularly come to you for. Like, are you the computer or financial guru? Are you the people skills expert? People always coming to it to you for advice. Is it a specific kind of advice? Write these things down and now take it a step further. All these people usually need something. What is it that you believe they really need in their life, right? They might be coming to you because they want something, but what could you identify that they really need in their life? Like, do they need better relationships? They need a better job. They need to have better people skills. They need to have better financial budgeting skills, better communication skills. Do they need a better marriage, a better family, right? So in your assessment, what is it that they're really needing in their life? So keep all of that in one column, right? All of these in that third column. And I know, we all know there's a difference between what people want and what people need. This column is going to help you kind of dive a little deeper into this thought so that we can see part of your design and what you carry. So look at the connected areas between what you're best at and what you love to do. And can you see a connection between those things and what people want or need? Draw those connections. This is all about breaking down your design and identifying patterns in your life. Most of us miss this, but it's literally a part of who you are. It's how you were made, what you were made for. This is why it seems to repeat itself no matter where you go or who you're around. These things, always seem to happen around you. When you've connected these dots, I want you to journal some stories, like write down the patterns that you're beginning to identify, the times these three columns have connected in your life. Then think about how you felt during those times. Did it make you happy, invigorated, excited, fulfilled, satisfied? Then examine why you felt that way. This may seem silly, I know, but trust me. When you have examined this and you understand it, then you can replicate it. That's really important. Then we can figure out how to monetize it. And then you will never have to work a day in your life. This is often where people get stuck. I'm not actually going to spend a whole lot of time on this part today because honestly, it's the easiest and it's the simplest part of this process. The hard part is actually figuring out your design, and that's where I want your intention and focus to be. Depending on whether we discover you have a knack for service-based, product-based businessry, then we can best figure out how to launch into the monetization space. Or as I mentioned earlier, maybe you already have a business launched, and the key here would be to identify how these things connect together with what you're already doing. If they do not, we can discover how you can add something to what you already do or how we can tweak it. Anyway, that's just all part of the process. So try not to make out this list to fit into what you already do. Try to really give it the right focus and intention as a standalone thing. I know a lot of people will kind of panic and try to figure out these questions according to what they already do, and it's going to actually skew things. So try to set aside what you're already doing as you're answering these. Sometimes as you discover your design and begin implementing into your current business, you will see the blessing upon it and you will not be toiling like you used to in order to be abundant. Other parts of the business can be passed on to those that flourish in that area as we get to that place, and provide jobs for other people, right? So that you're no longer doing it. And as you step into where your promise of abundance is, it's going to make more money, create more prosperity than what you were doing before. It truly does become a win-win for everyone. So this little graphic that I have created here, I want you to start processing. I did include this in the Power Workbook Planner because it's that important. So what you love and what people want is often your mission. What you love and what you are best at is often your passion. Those two things alone is usually what drives people to ministry, to create a ministry, because they're not really digging any deeper than that, which is fine if you are called to that and you are called to fundraise and whatnot, kind of the nonprofit model. But on the flip side, when you only combine your profession and your vocation, oftentimes, especially if you have an entrepreneurial bent, then you are not going to dig any deeper. You're just going to create a business. What people want and what you get paid for is typically your vocation. What you're best at and you get paid for is typically your profession. But what happens when you combine your passion and your profession is you become an expert. And when you combine your mission with your vocation, you define your niche. And when you combine all of this, you will find what I call your sweet spot. This is your Businestry place. This is what you were created to do. So we have to adjust our mindset, especially as Westerners. This is something that really bugs me. Most of us have been brought up to, work hard for 40 years, retire. If you've pinched your pennies enough, you can, buy a recliner and wait to die. This is a lie that keeps us miserable and locked in to working for money. Did you know that retirement is not really an international thing or thought process? And it's actually pretty modern as far as humanity is concerned. It was literally invented in 1889, not really that long ago, by German Chancellor Otto von Bismarck. He wanted to address high youth unemployment by paying those people that were 70 and older to leave the workforce. And other countries followed suit with retirement ages somewhere between 65 and 70. He said at the time, quote unquote, "Those who were disabled from work by age and invalidity have a well-grounded claim to care from the state." That was his stance. And he created the concept of retirement so that the youth would step in to those jobs, those positions. To top it off, those with some of the highest quality of lifespans ever studied, the Okinawans, don't even have a word in their language for retirement. Literally nothing in their language describes the concept of working, like stopping work completely. Instead, one of the healthiest societies, the Okinawans, has a word called ikigai, which roughly translates to the reason you wake up in the morning. It's the thing that drives you most. It's the passion that I talk about. A recent study spanning, I don't know, it was like 7 to 10 years. It was like almost 45,000 participants that these researchers did this study on, showed that those with Ikigai were more likely to be married, educated, and employed. They had higher levels of self-rated health, lower levels of stress, and at the end of this 7 to 10 year research period, 95% of those folks with Ikigai were still alive, when like 80% of those without Ikigai even made it that long. So to put it another way, we don't actually want to retire and do nothing. We really want to do something we love. And why wait till your golden years to do that? That's not our design. So my recommendation is to dig deep into this lesson, to find your Ikigai, to discover that second stream of income that aligns with your values. We know there are far more problems and opportunities on this earth than there are people to get them all figured out. Plenty of opportunities, so let's go solve some of those problems. You were designed to solve some of those problems. So you have your homework, you've got your marching orders. Do not sell yourself short on this one. Do the work and discover your Ikigai.